On the high line. Clear out the guns before the convoy shows up.
Alright, so we're continuing on into the high line section of this level.
You pyro.
And I feel like we're missing somebody.
Let's get to work.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, yeah, the Invisible Woman didn't quite make it through the Songbird boss fight in the last section. So we're going to need to work up our energies to get a fusion attack going and find an opportunity where there's going to be enough bad guys killed by said fusion attack in order for us to revive Sue Storm. In the meantime, we're going to be knocking out these anti-aircraft guns, which is a thing that we've been trying to do all along, because they're keeping our aircraft and helicopters from coming in and helping disrupt the prisoner convoy. In the last episode we left off, we were talking a little bit about the Marvel's Avengers video game that was released across all platforms recently, include PS4, Xbox One, PC. I don't remember if it was a Nintendo Switch thing or not. And one of the things we were talking about was things that they had done in order to set up future content, and the possibility that they could introduce Scott Lang into the game or into a future game because they have neutered Hank Pym in the storyline.
Great shooting, Lieutenant. Convoy
Which,
stop.
to my credit, you know, give to their credit, as we're now kind of stuck in a sort of fight arena slash mini boss section. We're gonna hit up, and you can tell I restarted because we handled this wrong, and we're using the Invisible Woman now. We unlocked the Human Torch's costume, or yeah, the Human Torch's alt costume in the last thing, and
I'm pretty sure I have
so now I'm going to try to unlock the Invisible Woman's thing, which again is her alt costume. You can see I've already unlocked the ones for Reed Richards and the Thing because they're wearing them here, and they were in the last thing as well. The ultimate suits are the alternate costumes of these characters. So there's going to be a lot of Sue Storm on the screen as long as she stays alive, as long as we keep her alive. She's another character that has the potential to just be incredibly OP. Just because you can see we're using you know, her force field powers and stuff, and just bringing force fields down on top of people. But she's also relatively flimsy. So, you know, we're dealing with that. But yeah, there's a good chance that, you know, they've set up Scott Lang as a character that they can use either in DLC to the current video game, or potentially, you know, DLC, or potentially in a sequel. They could bring Scott Lang on board, and it would be it would make sense for them to do that because they would have you can't have Hank Pym be Ant-Man the way that they've got it set up, although they could just as easily, I'm sure, cure or undo whatever AIM did to Hank. But I think that the intention is somehow related to bring in Scott in some other time. So then the question has started to arise: what characters are they going to add to the Marvel's Avengers game? And some of them we actually already know. For instance, we already know that Spider-Man is going to be added to the roster, but only for Sony console or Sony consoles. When they release the PlayStation 5 version of the game, because they almost certainly will. Oh yeah, this will bring a problem, or this. Yes, we have two things. Just in case you were wondering why I was using the alternate costume for our thing.
I heard something about that through the grapevine. Didn't believe they'd actually do it though.
So,
Like I told Reed, I don't
at this point in the story, the thing will show up regardless of whether you're pro or anti-registration, and then he will come in to aid you.
Shield force is coming for you. I don't think they care if Ben gets caught in the crossfire either.
Because of some atrocity that he attributes to the other side. Right, so we defeated the Lady Deathstrike boss, or not Deathstrike, sorry, Lady Deathstrike. And now we're into the second part of this fight, and now Sue Storm is down. But we do get an additional Ben Grimm to use in this section. So, yay us.
getting roughed up here.
But back to characters that, oh wow, somebody just shot the crap out of us. Back to the characters that they will add to Marvel's Avengers. They talked about, again, Spider-Man's confirmed for PlayStation consoles, or at least the PS4 version of the game. I'm pretty sure that when and if they do a PS5 version, he will be on that one as well. And I think the rumor is that the voice actor from the Spider-Man game is reprising his role. Now they keep saying that this is a unique Spider-Man in the sense that this is Crystal Dynamics' version of Spider-Man. He's not to be confused with the Spider-Man that you played in Spider-Man PS4. In the same way that even though they use the same voice actor from Spider-Man PS4 in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, those characters had different origins and backgrounds, just because that the character in Ultimate Alliance 3 clearly had a history with Eddie Brock, and also, Miles was an established character in his own right in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, whereas he's getting there by the end of the Spider-Man Marvel Spider-Man video game on the PS4. What I think would be cool, and I don't know if they're going to seriously consider this, is I think it would be cool if the Spider-Man that you played in Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4 was the same Spider-Man that you will use in the Avengers. The Avengers are hinted at in the Spider-Man PS4 game. They talk about the Avengers going to the West Coast or whatever, which is kind of a subtle nod. I mean, you could easily just say, well, that's They're just trying to explain why the Avengers aren't here. The West Coast Avengers have been a thing for a while, so it's not crazy. But the Avengers are based out of San Francisco for at least a day at the beginning of the Marvel's Avengers video game.
Can I get some help?
So what I think you could do is you have some passage of time between...
These shield guys are out of control. I almost hate to think of them winning with the stuff they're pulling.
And now Ben's going to agree to be with us. Yay for
I don't
us.
even want to know.
But he's going to leave.
You got me.
He's going to leave our party in order to help the.
Sorry to interrupt, but we've got trouble.
He's going to leave our party for the time being.
Intercepting their communications. Iron Man's on his way. Approaching.
And we're going to. He's going to help the White Star, and we're going to go and deal with
Liberty Squad.
more problems.
Keep Iron Man away from the convoy until our people are in the clear.
Step lively.
But anyway, I think it would be neat if they took, if the Spider-Man were the same, if Marvel's Avengers is essentially a sequel to Marvel's Spider-Man, it just takes place maybe a year or two later. Give Peter enough time to get Miles trained. Something that you could either reference or show in the new Miles Morales video game that's also due to come out as a PS5 launch title. Basically have Peter run off to join the Avengers, and then Miles has to be Spider-Man in Peter's absence. Even though Peter's not really gone, he's just on the Avengers for that period of time. And you could have that happen either within the Miles Morales game, you know, like having Peter train him up, because I seriously doubt that they're going to kill off Peter Parker in the in the Miles Morales game. I mean,
You never had much of a chance.
I think that you might get a little bit of sort of mentoring in the beginning, but then I think Peter leaves. I think specifically he leaves to help the Avengers, and then you're kind of on your own, which could be interesting for Miles, because Miles has never really had his own villains, and he may not here either. There are a bunch of Spider-Man's rogues that have never... Well, actually, I take that back. There are Spider-Man villains that did not appear in the first Spider-Man, or in the Marvel Spider-Man game. You know, based on...
Thanks for being such good sports and playing along.
You know,
must have realized
and
that you're
at some point,
all
Norm
far more
Osborn
valuable
has to become the Green
than
Goblin.
enough to
You know,
be
if you look at your
yourself
Sinister
under
Six
the
rosters,
But my armor is hardly your concern right now. Speaking
you know,
of
Mysterio and the Sandman,
which, now don't play too rough.
you know, weren't part of the last game.
Oh, you never
Oh, and speaking of Hank Pym from our discussion in the last video, hi Hank. Yeah, we have to fight Hank.
Yellowjacket, you deal with him. I'll try to keep Iron Man away from our friends.
Fortunately, a super genius like Hank Pym is reduced to Transformer combiner logic when he becomes large, at least in this video game. So you have to knock Hank out in order to get him to rest, and then you've got, you know, to hit him while he's exposed. Otherwise, he's going to heal, and the process is going to just take longer. So, I know I referenced the inherent dumbness
Come on, let's
of the Transformers.
our big and tall friend.
Sorry, whenever a team of Transformers turns into a combiner, the intelligence level goes way down, even though all the other abilities go up, with the exception of Computron. So, you know, clearly Hank Pym would do more than just this if he was thinking tactically. But he's stuck. He's kind of stuck in just big boss logic here. I mean, whether you're fighting Iblis in Sonic 06, or you're fighting the Ozaru in Dragon Ball Ultimate Tenkaichi. You know, the big bosses kind of get stuck into the same sorts of patterns. But the visual's cool. The visual's neat, at least. But yeah, not particularly realistic. So also, once you get to a certain phase of the boss fight, you can see they've, well, except we defeated him. They gave us distracting enemies to kind of deal with. But yeah, now we've captured Hank Pym. Now, if you're playing the Pro-Reg campaign, you would fight Ben Foster. Who in the comics gets killed, or, you know, Goliath, who in the comics gets killed in that fight by fake Thor. But in this case, we don't have. In this case, either way, the person who gets defeated merely gets captured by the other side.
I know it's been intense, but we can't afford to rest much around here. Take a breather. Then when you're ready, head to the briefing station.
Alright, so we beat that mission. We theoretically rescued our allies. So now, you know, there's some more people to talk to, like Cable.
Nothing they're not already covering in the media. Damn freaks are actually being idolized.
But yeah, no, I think that Spider-Man, and having Spider-Man be the same Spider-Man makes a lot of sense.
We can swing it our way.
Yuri Lowenthal is the name of the guy I was trying to think of. He's the
I think it can be done.
He's the voice, the current voice of Spider-Man in the video games. He does a really good job.
That's not what I meant. This is a challenge, no doubt.
The other characters that they've added to the game, or that they're going to be known to add to Marvel's Avengers, include Hawkeye. That's Clint Barton Hawkeye, who oddly enough got the first trailer for a new character. But because this is a game that includes Kamala Khan, they're also going to add Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Oh hey, it's Dagger, and I'm Deadpool.
This is our fight too. We've gone up against some pretty heavy hitters. We can hold our own.
And I'm bad-mouthing Cloak and Dagger.
However, I must tell you that the journey is not always pleasant for those who choose to make it. Moving through the Dark Force dimension will show you what you fear.
Anyway, we've got stuff to do.
Oh well, you know Deadpool. Anyways, if you're familiar, I think I spent part of the time in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Hey, what's up?
Or maybe it was earlier in this series, but I spent a lot of time talking about Maximum Carnage. So if you want to know my thoughts about Cloak and Dagger, you can kind of
Thanks for asking.
look at it there. Here we're referencing Jessica Jones with Luke Cage.
She's a new mother. Ain't no responsibility more important.
But like I was saying about Kate Bishop, if you have Hawkeye, it was very easy to sort of have Kate Bishop because their skill sets are going to be essentially the same, if not very similar.
Catch you later.
There can be something that can be done to kind of differentiate, like give Hawkeye some sword-related moves,
All prisoner calls are monitored
you
by
know,
microzymes.
from his time as Ronin.
You have 5 minutes.
But you can very much see that if you have one of those characters, then it's very easy to sort of design the skill set move pool of another of those characters. A character I don't think they're going to add to the game, but they could, but would essentially be a palette swap, is Reed Richards. Like, it'd be really bizarre to add Reed Richards to the game when the other Fantastic Four aren't logical fits. I mean, you could theoretically reskin the Hulk and his tech tree, you know, and get the Thing.
We're having a hard time getting a list together.
So,
even a rough number, but it's probably in the dozens by now.
I mean, that's not impossible.
God knows I want to. Right now, that's not our top.
Another one again is Reed Richards.
Stay focused on winning this thing.
The Kamala Khan moveset, with the exception of you'd have to give him a new ultimate,
For a while, perhaps. But
is
to the
basically
system,
what
we need to go after the
Reed
cause.
Richards would play like in a game like this. And so, you know, he becomes a possibility, but not a likely one just because he's not an Avenger. There's not a Fantastic